Welcome to 2025. What a great year in real estate this is going to be. I'm expecting some good price increases this year. We've also got some significant legislative changes coming into play. About to talk about those now. My name's Chris McGregor and welcome to our first podcast of 2025. I'm the principal and founder of Bay Islands Property, and today we're here to talk about changes coming into legislation for property sales in 2025. ATO clearance certificates have been in existence for a number of years, but there's been changes that have come into effect from the 1st of January. The significant change is where before it was only for foreign investors or non-residents, now it's for everybody. It used to be only for properties being sold over $750,000, but now it's for all properties. So what will happen? You need to provide an ATO clearance certificate, and that needs to go to the Office of State Revenue as part of your settlement process. The Office of State Revenue can withhold 15% of the sale price. And for $1 million, they can withhold $150,000. The purpose of this is for when foreign investors or non-residents are selling, it keeps the money in Australia. That's the purpose of it. But the only way to catch all of this, I've got to do it to everybody. So from the 1st of January, the changes for the ATO clearance certificate, it affects everybody, every property seller, not just non-residents or foreign investors. It now affects all property sellers, whether it's residential or commercial, regardless of the sale price. And the Office of State Revenue can withhold 15% of the sale price. So $75,000 on a $500,000 sale or $150,000 can be withheld on a $1 million sale. Now, if you're a resident and you don't comply, the Office of State Revenue will withhold those funds. Then you can make a claim back on those funds with your next tax return. Yeah, you get the money back. It's a lot easier not to hand the money over to get it back. You should start the process the moment you're thinking of putting a property on a sale. The certificate is valid for 12 months. So the moment you're ready to list a property for sale, talk to your agent about how do you obtain an ATO clearance certificate. Because they can take a few days, they can take up to 28 days to. If you've suddenly got a buyer on day one, you need to make sure you've got it prior to settlement. Look, we can guide you through the process of getting the certificate. You can do this quite often just with your MyGov account, talking to your conveyancer. They can help you as well. Look, a lot of changes coming to legislation for selling property in 2025. To find out more, give our office a call, 0420 555 997. Look, the biggest change to the Property Law Act in Queensland in 2025, in actually probably the last 50 to 60 years, is caveat emptor. Caveat emptor no longer exists, or it's going to cease to be there for selling property in Queensland. So caveat emptor, buyer beware. That's now changing, where the vendor, the seller, now needs to disclose everything there is with the property. Failure to do so, the buyer can rescind the contract up until the moment prior to settlement. So if the information is not supplied correctly as per the Act, if it's not supplied correctly. So if there are they don't have to be deliberate mistakes, just innocent mistakes can cause a significant problem. So we need to make sure we're getting these correct prior to a purchase contract being signed. These changes come into effect from the 1st of August. So a disclosure statement is going to need to include title search, a survey, any defects on the property. So you need to be able to disclose what's wrong with the property. If there are any notices, so they've been served by council, EPA, for example. If you've got outstanding rates, it all needs to be disclosed. The big one probably here on the islands is if the house doesn't have a final certificate. We need to be able to disclose that and tell people up front. So just think, if there is a problem with the property, we need to advise the buyer up front. Because if the buyer finds out after, they've got the right to pull the pin. They've got the right to rescind the contract. That's the purpose of this legislation. At this stage, I've still got a lot more training to go through. The REIQ is great. They're rolling out a lot of training over the next few months. So come April, hopefully I should be an expert. But until then, I can't tell you exactly about how much with the building. It's always a great idea for a seller to come up with a building and pest report, to do that up front. Again, that's going to make the sale a lot smoother. In addition to these new requirements. I mean, the downside is it's going to cost someone a lot more money to put the house on the market. You know, to do this seller disclosure statement, there's going to be several $100s worth of costs up front. Okay, so with the sale of the property, the disclosure statement's got to be given to the buyer prior to the signing of the contract. So you've got to have all these documents prepared and ready prior to putting the property on the market. So the normal process in Queensland, you sign your listing agreement, you form PO6. I can take a buyer through the property immediately after I've got that agreement signed. The buyer says, yeah, I want to buy the property. Then as the agent in Queensland, I can prepare a purchase contract and go from there. Now, from the 1st of August, that process is going to change. We're going to need the disclosure statement in our hand. We've got to be able to email it to the buyer, give them a hard copy. We've got to be able to provide it prior to entering into a contract. So they need to be aware this property doesn't have a final. You know, this property, the boundaries are incorrect. Okay? The names on the title, caveats, easements, anything like that regarding the property, the buyer needs to be aware. Going forward and long term, this is going to make the conveyancing process a lot simpler. So the buyer is going to enter into a contract knowing what they're entering into. They're going to enter into a contract safely. Great. This is a great property. It is exactly what it was promoted to be. You know, it's a good, honest transaction. It's not like the buyer finding out 3 weeks later, oh, hang on, there's a train line coming through my back door. It's going in half a kilometre down the road. I wasn't aware of that. Now I've might have the right to change my mind. But by providing all the information up front, it's great for the buyer. Gives the buyer comfort in entering into a purchase contract. Whereas in Queensland, it's always been caveat emptor, buyer beware. And that might take a week or so to prepare because there's documents that are going to go with this disclosure statement. Okay, so you've got to prepare all your documentation up front, have it all ready to go. If you're selling a property in 2025, call our office today. We can help guide you through the process. The timing of your property sale can be very important, but if you're planning on selling after the 1st of August, you need a conversation with a competent agent and a competent conveyancer to help you through the process. The biggest risk here, if any of this documentation is completed incorrectly or a document's not supplied correctly, the buyer has the right to rescind the contract up until the moment prior to settlement. You don't want a contract falling over because the paperwork was supplied incorrectly. Look, 2025, regardless of legislative changes or not, 2025 is a great year to sell on the islands. Our market is still strong and will continue to be that way. Yeah, Sydney, Melbourne. Look, I've spent a lot of time in Sydney and New South Wales in the last month. They keep talking about this slow market, but I'm still seeing a lot of activity down there. A lot of activity. There has been, the higher end of Sydney has dropped off, but the median price, it's still active. And that's encouraging for up here because we're still going to see activity up here. Look, I still think in 2025, we're still going to see a 5 to 10% increase in our prices. At Bay Islands Property, we're doing all the research, we're doing all the learning now to make it easier for you. Over the next few months, I need to become an expert in this field. I need to help my team become an expert in the field of these changes. We need to know everything there is about it so we can help our clients, not just for 2025, but all the way to 2040. These changes are here to stay, so we need to become experts today so we can help our clients going forward. If you're thinking of selling in 2025, call our office today on 0420 555 997. We can talk you through these changes and help you with the process, what you need to do to your property to get that best price in the shortest period of time.